Hi guys, welcome to Sosin classes. This is Hima Hegde presenting before you the current and contemporary affairs in anthropology. The first topic for today will be health and water. New research documents the pollution of public water supplies caused by shale gas development, commonly known as fracking, and its negative impact on infant health. These findings call for closer environmental regulation of the industry as well as chemicals found in drinking water often fall below the regulatory thresholds. The new paper, which appears in the Journal of Health Economics, is co authored by Hill and Lala PhD with the University of Kentucky. Hill's previous research was the first link to shale gas development to drinking water quality and has examined the association between the shale gas development and reproductive health and the subsequent impact on later educational attainment, higher risk of childhood asthma, exasperation, higher risk of heart attack, and opioid deaths. Her research brings an important perspective to the policy discussion about fracking, which has often emphasized the immediate job creation and economic benefits, without fully understanding the long term environmental and health consequences for communities in which drilling occurs. Other studies have shown elevated levels of chemicals associated with fracking in surface water. However, these levels often tend to be below the federal guidelines and are not monitored closely, and even if detected, do not rise to trigger the level of remediation. The new study indicates that fracking related chemicals, including dangerous volatile organic compounds, are making their way into groundwater that feeds municipal water systems, and that the potential for contamination is greatest during the pre production period when a new well is established. These findings indicate large social costs of water pollution generated by an emerging industry with little environmental regulation. Our research reveals that fracking increases regulated contaminants found in drinking water, but not enough to trigger the regulatory violations. This adds to a growing body of research that supports the re evaluation of the existing drinking water policies and possibly the regulation of the shale gas industry. Let us now learn about Neanderthals of the North. A multidisciplinary research team has investigated whether Neanderthals were well adapted to life in the cold or preferred more temperate environmental conditions. Based on the investigations in the Wendland region, Lower Saxony, Germany, the researchers showed that during the last ice age, Neanderthals visited their northernmost settlement areas even during the cold phases, albeit more frequently in the summer months. Researchers say based on sediments and pollen grains they contain, we can reconstruct the vegetation and environmental conditions of the time. For this, the most accurate dating possible is required, which in case of Central Europe is still lacking for many climatic phases of the last ice age. Collecting environmental information and performing independent dating is of great interest to archaeology and paleoenvironmental research alike. Thus, the cooling of the continent would have coincided with the climate change in the Greenland ice. In the Greenland ice and Northern Atlantic, a direct coupling had so far been suspected but not proven for northern Germany. The study also found that Neanderthals occupied lightly wooden lakeshore about 90,000 years ago in a relatively temperate climate. Stone tools found at the former campsite attest to a variety of activities such as woodworking and plant processing. Already between 1987 and 1994, the Landesmuseum Hanover excavated a site close to Lichtenberg containing bifacial packed knives, so called Kehlmesser, specialized cutting tools. In the excavations, the layers of this former campsite are located above the lakeshore campsite, which is associated with a temperate climate period and a date to a time about 70,000 years ago, when the last ice age's first cold maximum began. The first cold maximum. The researchers were thus able to prove that Neanderthals had indeed inhabited the northern regions even during the cold phases. Changes in stone tools indicate that the Neanderthals adapted in line with the changing environmental conditions. In this context, the stone tools, especially knives made of flint, show that the Neanderthals' lakeshore site may have served a hunting party for a short stay. Evidence from other sites from the same time period indicates that during cold phases, Neanderthals likely visited their northern dwelling grounds mainly during the summer months. The last topic for today is IVF and adulthood. Being conceived via assisted reproductive technology, that is ART, such as IVF, may provide some advantages in quality of life in adulthood according to the results of a new study. The results of the new study, published in Human Fertility, offers reassuring news for the people who have been conceived with ART and those who need to use the technology to conceive. The findings suggest that being ART conceived can provide some advantages on quality of life in adulthood independent of other psychological factors. In more than 4 decades since the first birth following in vitro fertilization in 1978, more than 8 million children have been born as a result of ART. In that time, many studies have evaluated the physical health, development, and psychological well being of ART conceived children compared with those naturally conceived. But currently, there is less known about the health and quality of life of adults who were conceived by the ART. The researchers looked at the associations between factors present at T1, that is, mode of conception, the mother's age when the participant was born, sexual orientation, family financial situation in secondary school, perceptions of own weight, number of close friends, frequency of vigorous exercise, and quality of relationship with parents, and the scores on the four domains of WHOQOL BREF, that is, World Health Organization Quality of Life Brief Assessment at T2. So, here we have the same. Moving on, children conceived via ART are nowadays a substantial part of the population, and it's important to continue to evaluate the long term effects of ART on their and well-being physical health and well-being as they progress through the adolescence into adulthood. When accounting for other factors present in young adulthood, being ART conceived appears to confer some advantages in quality of life. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the researchers also found that independently of how the person was conceived, having a better relationship with parents, less psychological distress, and a better family or financial situation in young adulthood contributed to a better adult quality of life. This is the first study to explore the contributions of being conceived with ART and psychological factors present in young adulthood to the quality of life of adults. While the findings are reassuring, they should be interpreted with a caution because many of those who took part in the first study did not take part in the follow up study. So that is it for today. Hope you found it informative. Thank you.